Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to explain project 4. And in this project you're going to be using structures to solve this problem. I'd like you to create a structure named streaming service that contains the following information. So you're going to be capturing three items, three pieces of information about a streaming service. The first one is the name, stored as a string. And so for example, it would be HBO Max. The next one is the package, again stored as a string, so the package type could be a family package, no ads. I mean, each of these streaming services have their own language around the different packages they offer. And then finally the price, so what's the monthly cost of a package, and that should be stored as a double. When you declare your structure, make sure that your declaration is located above main and above the function prototypes, since the functions will be using the structure. Okay, so to just give you a general idea of what the problem is and what your program is going to do, your program is going to get information from the user for three different streaming services, and then you're going to analyze that information to determine which, if any, of the services have a price greater than $14.99. So to do that, you're going to need two functions. The first function, getInfo, is going to capture streaming service information from the user. So you're going to need to prompt the user to enter the information for one service only. They're going to need to ask for the service name, the service package, and the price. The function's then going to return the information to main, so you're going to need to do that either using a void function with reference parameter or a value returning function that's going to return the entire structure. And so keep in mind, when you do this, you're going to call the function 3 times to capture information on 3 different services. And each time you do that, the last thing you're going to ask for is the price. When you read the price, you're going to use a cin statement to do that, and when the user enters in that price, they'll enter in the price, they'll press the enter key. The enter key sits in the input buffer waiting to be read, and then you'll call the function again, you'll do a get line again. That get line will then read the enter key, and everything sort of falls out of whack if you do that. And so what you'll need to do is at the very end of this function, you'll need to put in a cin.ignore statement. And so that skips the enter key that the user pressed when they entered in the price. So now when you call the function again, you can start from the top, asking for the name and reading it with a get line, and everything should be fine. If you have any questions on that, please let me know, but that should have happened also in the previous program that you wrote, the previous project. The second function should be called display high prices, and the objective of this function is to receive all 3 service variables. So for all 3 streaming services that you ask the user to enter info for, you're going to pass all 3 of them into this function, and then it's going to analyze the data to determine which, if any, of the services have prices that are greater than $14.99. If there are no services with prices greater than $14.99, then it should have a message that states there are no services with a price greater than $14.99. So in this function, you're going to have a series of if statements to analyze that price. So the display should include a heading, list of services with prices greater than $14.99, and then you're going to list the service name and the package type. So 2 things for each one, or a message stating that there are none. Okay, and in main, what's going on in main is you're going to create 3 streaming service variables, service 1, 2, 3, you can name them whatever you like, and then call getInfo 3 times. So you're going to get information the first time for the first service, the second time for the second service, etc. And then finally call display high prices, pass it all 3 variables, and do the analysis and display in that function. Keep in mind that you should not be using arrays. I want to see you passing these structures back and forth because the next topic will have us doing that and more. So here is some sample program execution. This is the first one. You can see what I did here. So on the input, I asked the user to enter the service name. I asked them to enter in the package, and then I asked them to enter the price 1, 2, 3 times, right? So that's 3 calls to the first function, get info. And then on the output, I do the analysis and I display if there are any with a price greater than $14.99, and there are 2. Okay, and then here is a sample execution when none of them are greater than $14.99. So here's the input again, and then here's the output. There are no services with a price greater than $14.99. Okay, program requirements stay the same. Your program must be your own. A 0 grade will be given for any of the following. So take a look at this, and again, please do not use, you may use external resources for reference, of course. Sometimes they can be very helpful, but keep in mind that your book and the videos are an excellent resource. Project requirements, again, same as I've had in all of these. Your code must be easy to read, formatted as shown in the demonstration programs. Main program must call the functions. Your parameters must be appropriate. Remember what the objective here is. I want to see you properly use structures, and I want to see you properly pass structures to functions, return structures from functions. Comments, make sure you have a brief program description and your name at the top. Comments throughout your code, a comment block for each function. And here's just a suggestion. When you're testing, try testing with all your prices greater than $14.99, none of them greater than $14.99, and then every combination, because sometimes your if statement structure doesn't account for, the first and second being greater than $14.99 and not the third. So make sure you're testing combinations as well. Remember that your resources, definitely reach out to me if you have any questions, or reach out to the tutors in ACE if you have any concerns.